We are back on our PG Pirates YouTube channel for the third segment of Jason Mackey's weekly podcast. My name is Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for Multimedia. He's Jason. He's our Post-Gazette sports columnist. Jason, we're going to be talking about the Pirates and Spencer Horwitz, Nick Gonzeles have been on a little bit of a heater for the past week. The numbers are looking a lot better. So I guess I'll start the conversation like this. Are you buying these two guys as long-term bats in this lineup that are going to be difference makers, that are going to keep trending in this direction? Or are you looking at this as what we've seen from Nick Gonzeles in the past, of short bursts of brilliance followed by injury, followed by inconsistency? How are you looking at how these two are performing right now?
Yeah, probably more toward the latter than the former. I don't view this as sustainable performance for either of those guys. And I don't think – I understand the question. And, you and I went back and forth about this, Adam. I think it's an interesting debate. Like, if these guys pan out, does it change the way you look at Ben Cherington? And yes, I think it would. I think it would show, like, look, this is a big trade you made in Spencer Horwitz, and this guy's positively impacting the offense. Drafting has been an issue for Ben Cherington. Well, in 2020, you got a legitimate bat who's turned into, a very good second baseman. I just don't think this is sustainable to the point that it's going to change my opinion on what the Pirates are. I think they still stink offensively. I think they need to do a big, hard, long review in the offseason as soon as possible, like their existing processes. They shouldn't be allowed to continue. And that includes the hitting group. That includes Ben Cherington. 1 week from those guys, it doesn't change my mind. Now, in that answer, like, do I think Nick Gonzeles can be better than what he's shown so far? Yes, I do. I think this is showing some progress. I like what we've seen out of Nick. I don't think he's an altogether bad player by no stretch. Like, if he's a 750 OPS guy, wouldn't surprise me, and I'm good with it. I think he can be an everyday major league player. As far as Spencer Horwitz, I think he can probably be a platoon bat. Like, I think he can probably hit right-handed pitching. I've been okay with his first base defense, but I think you probably need to pair him with somebody. But is he somebody who's going to anchor your lineup? I just have not seen that. I'd like to see it. I'd like to be open-minded to it. But to me, he looks like a 6-7 hitter and not a 3-4 hitter. It's just the power is just not there yet, Adam. I do appreciate him having a better month, and he certainly has. And hopefully this continues. I just haven't seen what I'd want to see for a middle of the lineup bat thus far. What about you?
Here's the thing. I think I'm more optimistic than you are that they can be.
Whoa. You're more optimistic about the Pirates than me?
Hold on. We'll get there. We'll get to the downer part. I think that Nick Gonzeles can be what you said, a 750 hitter, a very, solid second baseman, a good ball player, a finishing piece of a winning team. I think that Nick Gonzeles could be that. Spencer Horwitz, you look at what he did in Toronto, 790 OPS, 1.2 WAR last year. Give him a little more time to heat up. Do I think he can be, certainly better than what the Pirates have had at first base in some time? Yes, I believe in that. But the bar is so high for them to have been worth the capital that was invested into them. Nick Gonzeles is a former first-round pick, and he's still less than 2 wins above replacement for his career. That's not good enough. And so he'd have to be that guy over a long period of time for me to look back on that pick and say that was worth it compared to what else might have been out there that year. Spencer Horwitz, I think I'd say, yeah, if he's OPSing in the 750, 800 range, that's good. That's better than what you've had at first base in some time, but you gave up a lot of pitching to acquire him. You gave up enough pitching that he should be a difference maker. And I don't know if 750 to 800, maybe in today's game, it's a little bit of a difference maker, but I'm looking at an all-star when you give up what they gave up to get him. So the bar is just very high, and I don't know if I believe in either one of them to meet that bar, even if they become productive players.
I don't think you're wrong at all, Adam. I mean, and it comes down to, can these guys sustain what they're doing now? I'm looking at Nick Gonzeles as you were talking. It's like a 125 OPS plus. Like, I just don't see that. I mean, if that's what ends up happening here, fantastic. Look, I'm going to change my mind. A lot of people are going to change their mind about how Ben Cherington's drafts have gone. If he drafted an 850 OPS guy who's going to become an all-star at second base with those numbers, I just don't think that's sustainable. The same way for Horwitz, you gave up a ton to get him, like you're saying. shoot, man, a lot of people were down the road with Alexander Canario, and look what happened. These type of things, that it's the ultimate sample size sport with baseball, and I think we're going to see this stuff level too.
Yeah, and it's just, the Ben Cherington era is replete with these 2, 3, 1 month bursts.
Yep.
That don't end up materializing for one reason or another into the consistency this lineup craves. And yeah, I think that, if we're going to talk about Ben Cherington, whether these guys have a chance to salvage his career, the answer is no. And I think you have to look far more at the guy I want to talk about next, Jason, Oneil Cruz. He is struggling. He's now got a worse batting average than Tommy Pham, the much maligned Tommy Pham. There's this power.
Tommy Pham's about to have a sizable uptick, by the way. He's got his eyes fixed. Look out. Rowdy Tellez upswing incoming.
Yes. A little bit too late with Tommy Pham, but whatever. But in terms of Cruz, Jason, look, I think he can have 1 week and a race, when you look at his numbers and you're saying, okay, well, those are bad. Those are bad numbers. I think it takes 1 hot week that these guys that we're talking about before, Spencer Horwitz, Nick Gonzeles, Tommy Pham, they're having that week now. I think Oneil Cruz could have it next week, 2 weeks from now, and you look at his bottom line stats and say that's fine. I think the big indictment of Ben Cherington here is that you needed better than fine from this guy. You look at the physical tools, the specimen that he is. You don't get many guys that look like Oneil Cruz in the Pirates clubhouse, and they have failed to develop him at the major league level, as they have failed to develop Brian Hayes, as they failed to develop a lot of these hitters. And that's what they were primarily brought here to fix, Jason. I'll include Derek Shelton in that conversation as well, even though he's been fired. They were supposed to fix guys coming from AAA and kind of just bottoming out and becoming those quad A guys that are too good for AAA, but not good enough to be solid big league players. That's what I see when I see Oneil Cruz. And he has the talent to outperform that statistically to some extent, but he's just fallen so short, and some of that's on the player. But when you look at the pattern of the literal entire franchise, it fits very, very neatly into this is a problem that Ben Cherington has not fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm going to disagree with you on a point specific to Oneil Cruz, which I'll get to. But the overarching idea that they were brought here to fix development and they've done a lousy job of that, I completely agree. I just think of that more as the Henry Davises of the world, or Leover Peguero, or Jack Sawinski, or guys that, even Marcano before he got banned from baseball, like guys that were good in AAA and could never get those skills to translate to the major league level. G1 Bay is another who pops into that discussion for me. Cruz has gotten those skills to translate to the major league level. We've seen those skills translate. Why his head is in the clouds as much as it is, that is not acceptable to me. And it's frankly frustrating. As somebody who's taken crap for defending Cruz for let this guy run his race. He needs time to develop. I'm not going to overreact. We're not going to put him somewhere. He's got to learn how to be a center fielder, all this stuff. And then you go out and do what you did the past couple of nights. Like, I don't care that you make a physical mistake if you're on my team. It happens, man. He's in a slump right now. Okay. You live with it. He's a young player. Everybody's going to go through slumps. Do not dog at the first base. That's an insult to the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's an insult to the people in our city that go and support that team. It's an insult to people who have played this game long before you and will play this game long after you. Run to first base. You miss a ball, run after it. I mean, that's not the example. Like, I wouldn't show that to my kids. That's just, it's ridiculous that happens. I mean, Donnie Kelly should have benched him on Friday night after the poor effort after the ball in the outfield. Like, that would have been non-negotiable for me. And I might set him the next game too, to make a point. So you're going to play a certain way here. We're losing with you. We can lose without you. Trust me. And that stuff has been allowed to fester for too long. And that's not a Ben Cherington problem. That's a Derek Shelton problem. Stuff between the lines that goes unaddressed. And it needs to be addressed. Like, this roster's not been good enough. The draft, trades, free agency, all that stuff hasn't been good enough. That's a Ben Cherington problem. Guys not playing hard, giving consistent effort. That's a Derek Shelton player culture problem. And that needs to change.
Yeah, yeah, I guess I just look at it. I agree with everything you're saying there. But even if he was doing those things right, I think he's still well below the spread of outcomes you would have hoped for him.
That's
I
fine, but
think,
he's also giving you a lot of positive, Adam. He's a young player who's inconsistent with his bat. I can live with the inconsistent results. I can't live with the inconsistent effort.
fair enough. Jason, is he still an extension candidate for you? I think he's
No.
the one guy on this team. We've talked about. I was talking with my friend the other night, and we said they haven't signed a multi-year free agent since Ivan Nova. Back in 2015? I said, when are they going to sign another extension? Who is the guy going to be that they sign an extension with? I think Oneil Cruz is the only guy that you have in that conversation at all right now, and I think that is starting to fade quickly because. On the one argument, one side of the argument, you can say he's one of the best bats you have. It's a buy low situation. Maybe you can lock him in for the long run, and maybe he figures things out and matures a little bit. On the other hand, he's still got a ton of flaws that you'd be investing in for the long term after what's happened with Brian Reynolds and Ke'Bryan Hayes. I don't know what the right answer is in that regard. And if they don't sign him, I don't know who they sign in the next handful of years.
Adam, he's a 103 OPS plus player this year. He's a 109 OPS plus player for his career. That's over 314 games. If I would take the jersey off of his back, you wouldn't see the dreads. You wouldn't see anything else. It would just be a nameless gray face. Would you tell me a 109 plus career OPS player is an extension candidate? Like, no, he's an extension candidate because you go see Oneil Cruz hit, home runs that land into the Allegheny River or have impressive batting practice or whatever. I mean, yes, he's fast. He lights up StatCast. Those are really exciting things, and we'll enjoy them. I'm just not paying $100 million for it. I'm not. You can go replicate that production elsewhere. I can do it with somebody who I think has a more mature attitude. I'll take I'll use Oneil Cruz for what he's worth until he's gone. I have no problem doing that. And if he shows improvement, I'll consider an extension. But, last I heard with Cruz, like his ask was otherworldly. And no, I'm good. I'm not paying that for him.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, if he's doing things that make you believe, then sure, have the conversation. But I don't see it right now, especially given the deals that they've handed out. We are going to talk about Bubba Chandler, Andrew McCutchen on the other side of this break. Before we do, I want to pass along a message from our friends at Greenwalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenwalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenwalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenwalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenwalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenwaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
We are back on the Jason Mackey podcast here on the PG Pirates YouTube channel. Last couple minutes, Jason, Bubba Chandler started to go the other way sharply in AAA, struggling, just not the guy that I think Pirates fans would be quite as excited to bring up right now, even though they were clamoring for him about a month ago. Is he validating the Pirates' approach here? Did they see something that led them to believe this was coming, or is there a level of frustration and lack of focus that results in letting a guy languish after he's proven to you, what he can do in the top level of the minors?
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that the Pirates discovered something that nobody else saw, and that being a flaw in their player, in their best player, while he was going through an otherworldly run. I mean, to me, what this is a mistimed promotion. I think they lost the opportunity to bring up Bubba when he was hot. I think him not going up has resulted in either a loss of confidence or frustration, a lack of focus, probably all of the above, honestly. And you'd like to see it different, but I mean, let's all think back to what we were in our early 20s, and you didn't always process things in the best way. And that's kind of where I think Bubba Chandler is right now. I think they need to get him back. At this point, you're probably not going to promote him after a series of lousy results because it just looks weird, but they need to get him back on track. I want to see him soon. I wanted to see him, a month ago, more than a month ago. I thought he could help the Pirates while this thing was still reasonable, but how far they are out of it, what's the point?
Jason, I also wanted to ask you about Andrew McCutchen. He is having his typical June Boone, they're playing him a lot, running the wheels off of him since Derek Shelton's been fired. If he wants to play next season, is he a shoo-in for the Pirates to bring back, because he is the bat that you want all these other guys we've spent this podcast talking about to develop into, that consistent professional hitter this lineup otherwise lacks. He's been talking, Jason, as if this is it. So that may be a decision he makes for them. But do you have concern that maybe this isn't going to hold up as you get into the later parts of the season? They've been playing him so much, and then maybe it's a different conversation at the end of the season versus where we are now. I guess there's a question in there somewhere. They're just rattling off thoughts here.
I've got a lot of answers to all that, honestly. I mean, I think this is it for Kutch. That's my personal opinion. I think the way he's talked, the way he's acted, what I know of Kutch, I'm not going to profess to know him, the way his family does, but I've spent some time around him. I think this is probably it. So I think it's going to be a moot point. That being said, if this continues, if the Pirates show signs of progress, I think what Kutch wanted to do, Adam, honestly, is stick around here long enough to lead this team to the playoffs. I think that would, really feel like an accomplishment for him. And I think he's probably looking at this and saying, okay, well, that's probably not a great chance of that happening. I think I'm just going to get on with it. But again, let's say this continues throughout the end of the season. He stays healthy. Maybe the Pirates catch a spark over the final 2 months. There's belief in there, that sort of thing. I could see him coming back. I could see him having a change of heart. He does love it. I don't think the game's a chore for him, but he is 38 going on 39. And, I think he probably went into this thinking this would be a cool coda to my career. It just hasn't gone according to plan. I think that's what you're hearing in his answers.
I'll get you out of here on this, Jason. Does the Hall of Fame conversation enter into this at all? Because we've seen that a lot. Pirates Twitter saying, yeah, this guy's a Hall of Famer. And he's in that right on that borderline, I think, Jason, of Hall of Very Good or Hall of Fame candidate. Do you think he looks at that at all? Do you think he cares about that? Playing another year to bolster the stats, hit some milestones, and give himself a chance?
No, I don't even know if he's aware of it. He is so in his own world, man. I don't know. Maybe Kutch is a tough one to read. I think there are maybe some days where he thinks about it, he's aware of it, but most days he's not. Most days he's just thinking about what he has to do to get ready. Where I'm at with it, have you seen the Kirby Puckett comparison?
I
recently?
did. Yes.
That changed my mind in a big way. I did not realize how comparable he is to Kirby Puckett. And like Kirby Puckett for me is that's a no doubter. I don't look at that and say, oh my gosh, why is this guy in the Hall of Fame? No, probably a difference in team success. I think that's fair. But if you look at what somebody meant to, like you win a championship, you mean something to somebody in that year and for years prior. Like Andrew McCutchen spans decades of Pirates fans, generations about it. It's hard to even articulate like how much he's sort of brought everybody along or kept everybody invested or what he represents to people our age, younger, whatever. Like imagine a world where Kutch is not there. So I guess I would start this with no, he's not a Hall of Famer. And I have skewed more toward might be a Hall of Famer. There might be an argument here. And if he plays another 3 years, yeah, he'll be a Hall of Famer. But I don't know if I see that happen.
Yeah, well, I think part of the reason it doesn't feel like he's okay, Kirby Puckett is let's just say what it is. He was the Boomers guy. He was one of the guys that the Boomers loved, and the golden age of baseball. These ancient writers who ultimately govern these things, Jason. Hey,
I'm almost a voter. Don't call me ancient.
Well, I'm saying even when you become one, there's still going to be a lot of ancient guys that get a vote, and they just seem to in so many of these cases want to pull up the ladder, behind them on who deserves reverence and who's really a star, and the bar is higher for the modern player than it is for guys that played in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, and I think the Kirby Puckett thing is a perfect illustration of that. Of there was no doubt that he was going to get in. Andrew McCutchen posts similar numbers, but he doesn't give up the aura to the Boomers, and so that's why he's not getting in. That's one of my biggest gripes. I think you go into the steroids era, they won't let any of those guys in, and it's not just about the steroids. It's that they they don't want to let the people my age have our guys get in, the guys we grew up rooting for, regardless of the steroids. I think that's an indictment of that particular Hall of Fame.
I mean, I hate it. I am a pro Bonds, Clemens, Palmeiro, A-Rod, like go on in as far as I'm concerned. I feel the way I feel about what you did, and I don't like it. But like, if we're going to start, and this is such a bigger discussion, but like if we're going to start only allowing good people into the Hall of Fame, man, that place is going to clear out quick. I hate to tell you. And the other thing I hate about it is we have a bunch of sports writers legislating good and bad people. No way. I try to be a good person, but I see what else is involved in this profession. Those people should not be the arbiters of like good peopleness. Put them in, let everybody else decide. So that's a separate discussion, but it's something that bothers me.
Yeah, my hottest take is I love the steroid era, Jason. It was awesome. Those home run derbies in Milwaukee where they were hitting at 600 feet. I loved it. I'd go back to it in a minute.
You'd go back to it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Adam, they were cheating. They were cheating. They were cheating
the
awesome.
Game
and the numbers.
I was 12 years old. It was awesome.
Well, okay. Come on, man. I mean, people have played this game for a long, long time, and they've done it legally. And then those guys just find a shortcut.
I get that. But
like, and,
that was the height of that was like right when I was getting into sports. And so I hold those, the home run chase is the coolest thing that's happened in baseball since, between Bonds or McGuire.
But you can't treat those guys the same way that you can't treat, Mark McGuire the same way you might treat Robert Maris. Robert Maris. Yeah, Robert Maris too.
There should be like an inner ring of the Hall of Fame, Jason.
Yes. Like
the hall of legends or something, and make the inner ring those guys, and then bring in the steroids guys, bring in some of those Hall of Very. They literally started a Hall of Very Good on Twitter, Jason. I don't know if you've been seeing it, but
I didn't see that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we need to have rings of the Hall of Fame, and that's the fix to this issue.
You know where they have rings of the Hall of Fame, Adam? Right up here. I can decide what I think, and I think you're a cheater. And I don't consider Mark McGuire or Barry Bonds or anybody else on the same level as some other people. But if I look at their baseball playing ability and what they produced, that should be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to make up my mind on what I think about what these guys did. I don't need any external validation for that. I don't understand why people need to create categories, create lists for this stuff. Like, I know what I feel. I don't care what you feel. I don't care what anybody else feels. Like, I have my opinion. That's it.
Yeah, I agree, Jason. Great conversation this week. Again, we say we do these sign-offs now. We're not sure how vacation's going to shake out, but we're going to be back at some point talking all things Pittsburgh sports. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. We always appreciate that. And we will talk to you again at some point before training camp.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.